Hey everybody, once again, this is Dale and Shirley Guiducci, lifestyleover50.com, coming to you with another campground review, Florida State Park Campground review, this time Collier-Seminole State Park down in Naples, Florida, about as far south in Florida as you can go for camping. So what would you say, like pick out a couple of things right away about Collier-Seminole State Park?
We were camping. So it wasn't my favorite on the list, unfortunately.
Right.
So, I mean, the state parks overall are pretty amazing. So the campsites in general are super small. They're on top of each other. They're very, very narrow. So it didn't make for a very outdoorsy environment, stay well. It's what we like. So some people don't mind that and enjoy that. They could just pull their RV in or back in or whatever, and they're good to go. But for us, we like that foliage, the trees, and I really prefer not to be on top of our neighbors.
Well, I mean, it was, and it was packed, right? So very popular place, and I'm not sure exactly why, because there's other state parks that you can certainly visit, but maybe people that live in the area, Fort Myers, Naples, or whatever, it's so close to them. It's a great place to go. But yeah, there's no separation between the sites. It's kind of wide open from site to site to site. They're very tight together. There's no real shade above you. Right. Although the way it's situated, and you can see a map on our site. And by the way, the link to our written review with pictures and maps and things like that will be underneath this video if you're watching this on YouTube. But it's kind of a big loop, if you will. And in the center of the loop is quite nice, right? There was some trees there and a big open field, but around where you're actually camping was just a little, in fact, we had somebody right next to us that we were parked this way, and the way the campsites were set up, they were parked this way, and we felt like they were looking right into our trailer, so we actually had to put curtains up and all this other stuff and whatnot. So it was and then the noise factor too. They were making tons of noise at night and things like that. So that wasn't perfect.
Nope. No. But that center courtyard helps for not being on top of anyone behind you.
Correct.
So, and then we camped with friends, and that part was the highlight. I believe I won't go back to Collier-Seminole, not to say anything bad, my preference, but because they were right next to us, they have a 25-foot RV, and they actually pulled in because we have the pop-up camper, so we have to back in. So therefore, our two front entrances, or your doors to go out and lounge, were kind of combined. So that made it fun, better. So if you're going to go and you don't like the environment I'm sharing, go with somebody and do something like that, and it makes it more enjoyable.
Yeah, and we camped in the main campground. There's sites 20 through whatever I got here, 105. So there's 85 campsites right there. There's another smaller campground, if you will, before you reach this one. It's campsites 1 through 19, right. Very small sites, really good for tent camping, right, or very small trailers. And that had separation. That had vegetation between the sites and tree canopies and things like that. Possibly an older campground area in Collier-Seminole. So that was okay. And there's a little walkway between the two campgrounds and a bathroom facilities right there. And the facilities were good. Yeah, right? They were. The facilities were good. But let's talk a little bit about what to do there, right? So as far as, let's talk about hiking, first of all. They have a 6.5-mile hiking trail with a boardwalk and so forth through some of the more swampy areas. Because, hey, listen, you're down in Naples, you're pretty close to the Everglades there. Right. And we went with our friend Mary, so the three of us, and we did some hiking, about a mile and a half or so. And then it got a little sketchy. It got off the boardwalk and into the actual trail itself. And it wasn't very well manicured, and it seemed pretty overgrown. And listen, the fact of the matter is, there's panther in the park, there's bear in the park, and there's gator in the park. So we were kind of a little like, yeah, we're going to pass on the rest of this hike. Now, you may be a bit more adventurous, but it wasn't our cup of tea.
No. And we hike a lot.
We do.
And it's been just kind of like a side note. So it is the Florida panther. It's not a black panther. It's called the Florida panther. And along the main road to get to the campground, there were sign after sign after sign for panther crossing warning signs. So
they even adjust the speed limit at night.
Correct.
On that road to slow everybody down, because panthers, I guess, are a bit nocturnal, if not totally nocturnal. So like they come out at night. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So going on that hike, and with it being overgrown, and it just looks like too many people don't use it. So we just decided that, yeah, we're not going to take that hike.
Now, I would have been okay with that if there was some biking to do.
Right.
But there was, I mean, less than a mile's worth of biking that you can do within the state park. Now, you can go outside the state park and bike. There is a bike path, if you will, along the main road to get to the state park, but the speed limit's 60 miles an hour. Right. So it's not like you're in danger because the bike path is off, but it's just noisy. It's just not a quiet, nice, you can't hear the birds chirping. You can't see anything because you're all on the main road. So you're seeing nothing but cars whizzing by you. So we didn't do much of that at all.
And with that, they do have part of the park. It's called an off-road biking trail. And
that's
we did start to venture down there, but it was just so bumpy, and it just wasn't a comfortable ride.
A true mountain bike for that. And none of us had a true mountain bike. In fact, our friends had not even a hybrid. We have hybrids, but it just wasn't working for them. So. And
then on top of that, before you go down this trail, you're supposed to check in at the
that's right,
at the ranger what do you call it?
Ranger station.
Before you go, and then let them know when you come back.
Because sometimes I guess people don't, and they have to go looking for them, which doesn't give you not a lot of comfort level there either, right?
Because of bear and panther.
Bear, panther, gator, right? Okay, good. So there you go. So biking wasn't great, hiking wasn't great. Now, it's got a beautiful waterway that you can take out to, I believe, the Gulf. And it's just really, really pretty. We didn't bring our kayaks, though. Right. And we were considering renting kayaks. But they wanted, I forget the exact number, but for 4 hours for 2 kayaks, it was going to run over $100 for that. Right. And I'm like, yeah, first of all, we didn't want to go for 4 hours. We just maybe wanted to paddle out for a couple hours, get some sun, get some exercise and come back. And yeah, it just seemed really super expensive. And by the way, nobody was renting kayaks.
Right. And
so it's like lower the price, guys, and get the kayaks in the water kind of a thing,
or give more option to take it out for a couple hours for less.
Yeah, no, it was a minimum 4 hours, which we didn't want to do. And it was a lot of money, so we didn't do it. So.
Yeah, so not our favorite place.
Not our favorite place, Collier-Seminole, but listen, very, very popular. I think it's a great stopover. If you are coming down south on the 75, you're coming south and you're heading over to the East Coast, great stopover for the night, right? Because it's right at the elbow, not very far off the highway. Or going the other way, if you're coming across Alligator Alley and then you're going to turn north on 75, again, nice little stopover, get yourself a nice night of rest and then take off the next day. But we wouldn't go back for sure unless...
And cell service wasn't very good.
And cell service wasn't good either. Yeah, we had to... Oh, that was funny. You had to walk, or I had to walk away from our campsite to there was a certain area of the park where all of a sudden you had bars, right? So, but if our friends went there, wanted to go again, I mean, we didn't even talk about the music.
Oh my God, we gotta say
the best part was that we created this ourselves, right? Because a lot of our friends, the friends we were camping with, a brother of a friend that we camped with who's now our friend, they're all musicians, and they invited some musicians from their neighborhood in Fort Myers. So a bunch of people came. We went out into that center area that we told you about in the middle of all the campsites. They brought their little amps, their battery operated amps. They plugged in and played music for, I don't know, 3-4 hours in the afternoon.
Which they brought their instruments.
Well, of course, the guitars and whatnot, of course.
Right.
But played music, and that was so much fun. People were coming out of their campers, right? Because everybody kind of was staying to their own. They coming out of their campers and sitting around and enjoying the music. And that really made the whole camping trip for us, didn't it?
It did.
So if they wanted to do that again, we'd probably take the drive down. It's about a 2.5-3 hour drive for us.
Right.
We'd probably do that. But otherwise, yeah, we're going to pass on Collier-Seminole. But check it out on our website. Obviously look around the internet. Our recommendation is, look for other places. But if that's the only place that has a campsite available and you want to go camping, just know what you're not getting yourself into, because there's not a lot to do there, and definitely enjoy yourself. Dale and Shirley Guiducci, Lifestyle Over 50. We'll see you on the next campground review.
See you soon.
Bye now.